Austin Ekeler demands an explanation from NFL owners on running back salaries. The Clippers allegedly lowball Philly in a possible James Harden deal. And Clayton Kershaw throws a surprise bullpen session. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is July 19th, 2023. In a couple of hours, I'll be on a plane heading out to that pile of manure and syringes known as Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sucks for me, but you gotta make money in Joe Biden's America, am I right? But what the hell, let's get happier and talk LA sports. If you like being in the know about Los Angeles, clickety-clack the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment. I like hearing from you guys. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Yesterday, Jason Hayward hits a 3-run home run. The Dodgers win their 8th in the last 9 games, 10-3 over Baltimore. Michael Grove also is having a bit of a rebound. 5 innings in a bandbox stadium. Only 1 earned run allowed. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are at Baltimore at 10, about an hour from as I'm recording. Julio Urias is 7-5 with a 4.35 ERA. Dean Kremer, 10-4 with a 4.59 ERA. I almost said Dean Wormer for fans of Animal House. But let's get to the news. I am wearing this Eric Dickerson jersey for a reason that I will get to in a moment. Austin Ekeler is demanding answers from NFL owners about running back pay. The Chargers back, who's been having a problem with his pay for almost a year now, he goes on this podcast and says, quote, "I've been pretty vocal about this because it's just not good for our running back market as far as capital coming in. It's like putting a ceiling on it. There's no new contracts being made. From a player's aspect, we have no control of that. So really, we want answers. Who we really want answers from is like the ownership. Like, why are you doing this? What's the reasoning?" Unquote. He is saying that the NFL has poked the bear. To which I ask, what bear are you, Austin? Fozzie? Paddington? Maybe Kung Fu Panda? I mean, to an extent, I want to believe him about poking the bear. If the bear is actually named Dalvin Cook, right? I mean, Cook rushed for 1,000 yards and made the Pro Bowl in each of the last 4 seasons. That would be poking the bear. Maybe if the bear was Josh Jacobs, I would be more into this, because the Vegas Raiders would have been one of the worst teams in the NFL without him, instead of just kind of meh. You want me to consider Austin Ekeler a bear? Why? Stop. If you want me to consider Austin Ekeler a bear, maybe he should start by not playing this air ukulele after every 1.5-yard touchdown. Maybe rush for more than 1,000 yards once in your life, and I'll start thinking of you more like a bear. But no, you're not a bear. I would rather hear those guys complain. I would rather hear about Saquon Barkley of the Giants or all these other backs saying, wait a second, why am I getting lowballed over here? Because those guys are carrying their teams. Austin Ekeler does not. But it is true that his message about running backs is resonating. It's resonating with actual bears, not whatever animal Austin Ekeler is. Not Pooh Bear over in wearing the Bolts colors. There's been a popular internet meme that claims the average running back makes less than the average kicker. I don't know if that's true. I don't. And I don't really care. Because if you really want the reasoning as to why running backs don't make as much as they used to, I'll be happy to tell you. I really would. See, I grew up in the era of legendary running backs. Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson, Marcus Allen, Herschel Walker, Tony Dorsett. I can keep going on and on. I was too young to be able to see Gale Sayers and Jim Brown. We could go on and on with the number of legendary running backs. But you know what very few of those running backs had? Elite quarterbacks. Eric Dickerson carried the Rams to the NFC Championship game with a guy named Dieter Brock under center. And they lost to Walter Payton's Chicago Bears with Jim McMahon, who, by the way, was known more for his crazy headbands than he was for actually playing quarterback in the NFL. Now, it's a quarterback-driven league. If you don't have a quarterback, you lose. And by the way, if you know this, if you actually do watch the games now, have you noticed that there are a lot of quarterbacks who spend half their time running the football as well, not just throwing? The read option. Does anybody remember the read option now? We would never know anything about Colin Kaepernick if it wasn't for the read option. So to an NFL owner, a running quarterback is like paying for two positions for the price of one. You're paying off two positions for the price of one. Paying Lamar Jackson is Baltimore's way of saying that we're paying for both quarterback and running back. Do you see the logic now? Otherwise, a team has to make a choice under the salary cap. A team has to make a choice. You can pay for the quarterback or you can pay for the running back, but you can't fit them both under the salary cap. Because the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s had Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. When the salary cap came out, they had to make a choice. They let Emmitt Smith go for a reason. The Chargers, meanwhile, they've made their choice. They're going to pay Justin Herbert. And by the way, that is the correct call. It's why Joe Mixon restructured his contract so he could stay in Cincinnati. Because the Bengals, they're going to pay Joe Burrow. Ekeler is also saying, by the way, that the reason he wasn't traded from the Chargers when he demanded a trade earlier this year is because the team wanted too much in return for a trade. Now, that may be true because I'm not in the inner sanctum of the Chargers offices, but I am skeptical that the Chargers wanted too much. I'm also suspicious because Ekeler wanted the bag. And what team is going to cut Austin Ekeler a fat check to a running back who's about to turn 30? What owner is going to cut you a fat check after you demand that he go public on how he runs his business? Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Every owner is going to be like, up yours, pal. The XFL is over there. Say hi to The Rock for me. So if you want the explanation, there it is. Do with it what you will, Mr. Ekeler. But you're not a bear. Speaking of Justin Herbert, Pro Football Focus ranks him as the fourth best quarterback in the game right now, behind Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Burrow. They also rank him as the 35th best player in the NFL overall. Speaking of other players who are trying to will their best life into existence, we know James Harden wants to play for the Clippers, but according to Sports Illustrated Chris Mannix, the Clippers only offered backup point guard Terrence Mann, quote, and what's left of their first round capital, unquote. Keep in mind, the Clippers sent about 135 first round draft picks to Oklahoma City just to get Paul George. So there wasn't even a lot of first round capital there. Now, if you're the Sixers, if that's true, and the only reason I'm reporting it is because it's from Sports Illustrated, not from some random blogger. But if it's true, that is a seriously lowball deal. Something that's also coming along slowly for the Clippers are talks on a contract extension for Kawhi Leonard. That doesn't mean it's acrimonious. It's just that both sides, by the way, they're telling their media outlets that the conversation is, quote, healthy, unquote. But don't be surprised if Kawhi Leonard goes for the open market. He did when he was in San Antonio in 2014, despite earning the NBA Finals MVP. The Spurs obviously wanted him. Kawhi tested the open market anyway. He also opted out of Toronto after leading the Raptors to the NBA title. And I might add, he opted out of his Clippers contract back in 2021, only to re-sign with the Clippers later. Clayton Kershaw threw a bullpen session out in Baltimore on Tuesday, which I would have to admit is kind of surprising. I mean, I thought he was supposed to do nothing after that cortisone injection in his shoulder. But whatevs. Kershaw called it all good. Dave Roberts told the Scribes Kershaw threw 30 pitches, which included Kershaw's entire repertoire. And they're going to see how the pitcher feels this morning before they move forward with any sort of plan for rehab. Roberts also said the session does not mean the Dodgers are pushing Clayton Kershaw's return faster. The idea is to basically still have the 3-time Cy Young Award winner back on the mound in August. Recently signed outfielder Jake Marisnick is fitting in with the team, which is to say he got injured. He jacked up his left hamstring. He's going on the IL. Rams COO Kevin DeMoff flatly denies that the team tried to trade quarterback Matthew Stafford. This was alleged by a former NFL exec, Mike Lombardi, on the Pat McAfee show. Lombardi said executing a trade would have helped the Rams get under the cap, but according to DeMoff, quote, "The part that frustrated me was the notion that we were trying to get away from the $59 million and that the only way to do it was through trade. Matthew's dollars after 2022 were unguaranteed. We could have walked away this year, free and clear, for no future money owed," unquote. So the Rams did pick up the option and the money is owed. But he basically tried to blow a hole in the Lombardi accusation that the Rams were trying to trade Stafford. It seems plausible, quite plausible. And besides that, there's a number of other reasons that I don't believe for a moment the Rams tried to trade Matthew Stafford, which I detailed about a week ago. UCLA defensive coordinator DeAnton Lynn's annual salary is just over $1 million a year. This is according to the LA Times. It eclipses his 2 predecessors, and it also makes him the first assistant football coach in Westwood to make 7 figures. It's a 2-year deal with some minor incentives. It's depending on how things such as the Bruins defensive ranking winds up. If they're like top 50, he gets like something silly, like 25 grand or something like that. All I'm going to say is the dude better produce results, right? Neither UCLA or USC could stop their opponents consistently last year. The one difference between the schools, though, UCLA is a public school. That is your tax money going into paying these record salaries for UCLA coaches. So yeah, the results would be nice. The Sparks have terminated the contract of guard Destiny Henderson, who was an emergency signing because the Sparks had so many players get injured that they couldn't even field the WNBA league minimum of 9 players for a game. Well, the players are getting healthier and they can field 9 players, so they cut her. Lacia Clarendon returns to the team for the first time since a foot injury on June 9th. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Tell me if Austin Ekeler is a bear, and if so, which type? Or if you believe that running backs are getting underpaid, and what is the solution for the thing that I outlined? Tell me if you think James Harden actually will come to the Clippers. And if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.